Hello, everyone. We're going to talk about the left and right brain. So what does that mean? Your brain is divided into two hemispheres, the left and the right brain. And if we know what we're dominant in, whether left or right brain, we can kind of understand a lot about our personality, a lot about why we think, how we think, and also how we learn. So it's very important in understanding your brain functioning. Both sides of the brain can reason, but they reason differently. And one side might be dominant more than the other. It doesn't mean you can't access the other side. It just means that one side's a little bit more dominant than the other. So your left brain refers to step-by-step, sequential format, beginning with detail and leading to a conceptual understanding of skill. So this is the part of your brain that does a lot of language, a lot of speaking. So that chatter in your brain, that voice that some of us hear, that's your left brain talking. If your left brain says, hey, I have to sit down and do my math homework because otherwise I'm going to fail the class, that's your left brain. If you hear a little voice that says, I don't like this person's giving me a bad vibe, that's your left brain. Okay, so it's that internal voice. It is your rational thinking, logical thinking, making sense of the world, right? It is step by step. How do I get this done? How do I achieve my goals, right? So people who are left brain dominant tend to do really well in the sciences because there's a lot of steps in the sciences and in math, because math usually has a lot of steps. These are your left brain learners. Your right brain, these are people that kind of take things in as they come. The left brain is very much like thinking like in the past, thinking about the future, and then making sense of things. The right brain is like the sensing, right? The right brain kind of just is totally present. That's what we call simultaneous processor. Right brain is present. They love art. They love music. They like to look at things in generalities and general concepts rather than learning step by step. So they're not really interested in the specifics. They're more interested in the big picture. Like, what does this have to do with me? Or why is this important? So the left brain, if you want to think about like some questions a left brain learner would ask, a left brain learner would definitely ask, why does this matter? No, I'm sorry. Left brain learner would ask, how do I do this step by step? What's my first step? The right brain learner would ask, why does this matter? Why should I care? Right? What's the big picture? Not necessarily how to do it. That's more of a left brain question. Middle brain person shares both sides, a left and a right brain characteristic, and middle brain often can go back and forth in between the two hemispheres. So some people are kind of equal left brain and right brain. There are several ways to figure out if you are left brain or right brain. We have a test in this module that you're going to take. You'll figure out what kind of learner you are, what kind of right or left brain dominant. Okay. So the left brain likes, let me see if I can move this around, sequences. Okay, so step by step, symbols, and they're very linear. They like to work in a line. They don't like to go like this or anything like that. So left brain. Left brains, they process information in a step-by-step or linear fashion. They take pieces to a puzzle. They line them up. They arrange them in logical order. Then they figure out their conclusion. Left brainers, people like to make lists. They enjoy making a master schedule, doing daily planning. So a lot of lists, a lot of steps, not jumping ahead, right? Not jumping to the answer, but really thinking about the process before getting to the answer. And so that's why they tend to be pretty good in math, because that's what math is like, right? Math is like step-by-step processes to get to your answer. You can't jump to the answer in math. They're usually good spellers, because spelling is decoding, right? So, and encoding, like they're codes, right? They're symbols. So they're usually really good at spelling, because spelling involves sequence. They like to work in linear and sequential processing of math. They follow directions pretty well. They have no trouble processing symbols, memorizing vocabulary words, and math formulas. Spelling is symbol, right? Letters are symbols, and math has a lot of symbols as well. So this is the left brain learner closet. Can you tell? Look at that. Totally organized. You've got your pants over here. You've got your shirt, all color coordinated. This is somebody who put a lot of thought into their closet, right? They didn't just shove the clothes in, right? They thought about it. And you can really tell that they have an organizational system, right? That they follow. Definitely not a right brain closet. So who are they again? They're rational. They respond to verbal instructions, controlled systematic experiments, problem solve logically, sequentially. That's why they make a good scientist, right? They make objective judgments. What does that mean? That means that they look at all the evidence and then they form a judgment versus just automatically jumping to a judgment. They look at differences. So a lot of comparing and contrasting. They're planned, they're structured. They prefer certain information, established information, not just anecdotal or stories, or I heard this, or I heard someone say this. No, they want like facts, right? Before they can make a decision. So think about if you might be a left brain learner. And so I like to always say, like, the left brain learners are very much like your people in the military. A lot of the people in the military, or people who are drawn into the military, are very left brain learners. They follow orders. They're very systematic. They're very sequential. They're very rational people. And you have to be in the military. And people who are right brain that go into the military will retrain you to be a left brain learner. So that's funny. Okay. This is from the movie Along Came Polly. I don't know if you guys ever seen that movie, but this is the lead character. He is an accountant, and he is very much a left brain learner. And you could see by his bed that he is very much a left brain guy. Okay, let's go to the right brain. They prefer holistic. So holistic is whole, looking at the whole. Concrete, so things they can touch and feel. And random. They're kind of random, right brainers, right? They're the people that kind of shout out stuff and think about all different types of stuff. Here you are, right brain. While left brain people think in logical order, right brain processes from a whole to a part. So they first think about the whole, the big picture, like, why is this important to me? Why do I care? What does this matter to the world? And then from there, they break it down. Right brain has difficulty in following a lecture unless they are given the big picture first. So if I come up and I start lecturing you guys and I say, all right, I want you to do this, 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 I'm going to lose my right brain students, because my right brain students are like, why? Why do I have to do this? What's my goal? Why is this important? It's important for a right brain person to read a chapter prior to lecture to better understand what is being discussed. So if you find out that you are a right brain learner and you're going to go in and learn some new formula for math, right? It's important for you to read the beginning of the chapter, because at the beginning of the chapter, every chapter, the book kind of talks about why this is important and connects it to the world. And so it's important for the right brain learners to look at that Because if they don't know why this is important and why it needs to be connected to the world, they're not going to learn the specifics of the formula or the math lesson. So it's good for the right brainers to have an idea of what's being discussed and also to look into why does it matter. And usually that's found at the beginning of the chapters. The approach of a right brain person is random. Because of the random nature of the right brain, they should make a list and schedules to help them stay on track. So the right brainer is kind of like a free spirit, right? Doesn't have a schedule, doesn't want a schedule, right? Doesn't even own a watch. That's the right brain, right? Just loving, feeling, energy, in the moment, right? But that's not how our world works, right? We have schedules, we have timelines, we have deadlines, right? So right brainers really need to work at keeping a schedule to stay on track because they're not naturally used to doing it. So you have to kind of work at it as a right brainer. Right brainers love color. They're very color sensitive. So using a lot of colors will appeal to your right brain. Left brainers like lists. The right brain likes colors. Okay, so this is the moment in Along Came Polly where Ben Stiller, the main character, goes into Jennifer Aniston's house. And you can kind of see, and Jennifer Aniston is totally right brain. You can see how she's dressed, right? And check out the look on his face. I mean, does he seem like he's super into her apartment? This is like the opposite of what a left brain person would want, right? It's messy, it's kind of wild, all different colors, right? And so it's funny to see these two together. You can see him totally put together and you can see her kind of like in a kind of a fun, funky outfit. So she's the right brain and he's the left brain. Right brain people like things they can feel, they can touch. They tend to be also very kinesthetic. They want to see, feel, touch real objects. Right brain individuals may have trouble learning to read using phonics. So phonics is decoding using rules. And so right brain learners may have some difficulty with that because of the rules. They prefer to see words in context and see how formulas work. They create opportunities for hands-on to use the right brain. So if you find out your right brain, like using your hands will be key for you. Using colors, lots of art, and also figuring out the big picture of why you're learning something will help you learn. When processing information, the right brainer uses intuition. So what is intuition? That's your feeling. That's like your gut, right? Like, I don't like this person. My gut feels off when I'm around this person. That's your right brain talking. So how you feel. Have you ever heard anybody say, I didn't like their vibe, right? I didn't like their energy. That is right brain. They may know the right answer to a problem, but they're not sure how they got it. So they just came up with the right answer, but they don't know the steps they took. They just came up with it. On a quiz, they have a gut feeling. The right side of the brain pays attention to coherence and meaning and tells you if it feels right. So again, if you have your body telling you something like the energy's off, that's your right brain. Right brain people may know what they mean, but they often have trouble finding the right words because the left brain controls language, right? So the right brain doesn't have the language. It knows, but it's hard to articulate it. Right brain individuals need to back up everything visually. So they tend to be pretty visual. And when giving directions, they use their hands and give names of places along the way versus north, south, east, west. So this is kind of a fun experiment. You can ask somebody who you think is a left brain learner and ask them for directions, and then ask somebody who you think is a right brain learner for directions and see the difference. So I can be very right brain. So when I give directions, I'll say, okay, turn left, right by the McDonald's. Like when you see the McDonald's, turn left and then keep going. And then when you see Carl's Jr., you're going to make a right. That's how I give directions. Where my husband, he goes, oh, go north a half a mile, turn left, go south a quarter of a mile. Like he does it totally different. So it's kind of interesting because he's very left brain. So right brain learners are intuitive. They respond to demonstrated instructions. So acting things out, using your body, open-ended, random. They solve with hunches. They make subjective judgments. So they don't look at all the evidence. They just feel something and they make a judgment. They look for similarities. They're spontaneous. They prefer uncertain information. Okay, so you can kind of see, you can do this little game. It's a left brain, right brain activity. So how this works is you look at the chart, but then you say the color, not the word. So you say the color, not the word. And your right brain tries to say the color, but the left brain insists on reading the word. So you'll see your left and right brain kind of conflicting. So again, you look at the chart, you say the color, not the word. So try not to read it, just look at the color. Your right brain tries to tell you the color, but your left brain's going to always try to read. So you can see your left brain and your right brain kind of fighting with each other. I'll give you a few minutes to do this. And you can pause and do this on your own as well. Okay, so hopefully you've paused and done this. It's pretty cool to see your left and right brain kind of duking it out. So hopefully you learned a little bit about the two sides of your brain, and hopefully you have an understanding of what kind of learner you are. And it's not like you can't use your other part of your brain. You can, you just have to kind of train yourself to use that other part of your brain. It doesn't come naturally, but hopefully this provided some insight on what kind of learner you are.